I'm supposed to get 8 to 12 inches. And my wife wanted spaghetti from her favorite place dearly. So I deeper in the direction I shouldn't have went. Now I'm on my way home. Snow driving I find to be an interesting topic. I got off the surface streets, which were totally covered with snow, and onto the highway. And we're averaging about 50. We got a fairly dry track to run in. Seen a number of cars off the road, tow trucks, things like that. People tend to want to go too fast and this kind of thing. And the only reason I can do this speed is that the dry track is wide enough it's pretty easy to stay in. If it was too narrow, I would be slowing down. Earlier in this drive, it was a little bit worse than this, and we were only doing 40. But this is what driving in the snow is like if you are from some southern location. Bear in mind, I'm driving with people who presumably have experience driving in the snow. I would be a little more careful if I was further south where people get fewer opportunities to practice these skills. We're going around Fairborn, Ohio on 675 right now. A little bit longer path home, but safer because they maintain the highways a lot better. I've already passed one plow and salt truck just before I went live. You know, this truck up here, he's getting a little aggressive, the white Dodge. When he got in front of me there, I let off and give him some space. I have followed people like that before that were driving in such an exciting fashion. I wanted to try to film the crash, and they got away from me, but I eventually came upon the crash scene. It was kind of funny. You got to be careful about getting in too big a hurry in these conditions. It's been really, really cold here, so you know, we've had snow on the ground for a while. I purchased a back blade for my Kubota tractor. I don't think I put anything up on the Kubota tractor, but somebody gave me a Kubota tractor, a B8200, made in the 80s. And it's kind of an interesting story. The guy had I was working on a trailer, and I discovered that Ford Ranger rims were the same bolt pattern as 5-bolt trailer wheels. And this trailer I'd bought, it had two small tires and rims on it. It only had 12-inch on it. And they were pretty wore out. And I thought, well, I need to upgrade the size of the wheels on this trailer. It's a lightweight dual axle trailer, like 1,200 pounds an axle kind of trailer. And so I had bought a nice set of aluminum rims and put some tires on it, and had the thing in good shape, but I was missing a spare for it. And I'm cutting some grass at a property I have, and I noticed this guy across the street's got Ford parts around, you know, Ford Ranger parts, and I thought, ooh, maybe he's got a spare. And he's sitting on his porch. When I got done, I went over and I said, you wouldn't have to have an extra Ford spare, would you? And he says, I got one I'll give you. And he took me out back to the garage and showed me this spare. And oh my goodness, this spare had been underneath the truck in salty Dayton, Ohio roads and winters for 25 years. It was so rusted out, there was the tire, putting a good tire on it. And I said, well, I think that's a little bit, I said, I appreciate it. I noticed he had a tarp over a tractor. And of course I said, well, what you got covered up there? He said, he says, that's a Kubota tractor. He said, if you take it out of here, you sure can have it. Really? And as it turns out, it had been in his uncle's barn for 10 years. And the uncle had died, and he had received the tractor and taken it home, and it had been under that tarp in his driveway for 8 or 10 years. And it's a diesel, 3-cylinder diesel tractor. I think it's 19 horsepower. And he said, the engine's stuck, it won't run. I said, really, the engine's stuck? Well, you know, it's kind of hard to stick a diesel engine. That's not a common failure mode for diesel. And so I thought, well, how can I go wrong here? I mean, tractor's probably worth $3,000. Two-wheel drive, two-wheel drive tractor with PTOs, a fairly decent condition. And I said, you know, if I got to buy a $500 engine rebuild kit and rebuild the engine, so be it. I'm not going to look at gift horse in the mouth. I said, I'll be back in a couple weeks to get it. He says, okay. So I went and put D-rings in my trailer, got some heavier ramps, went back. Sure enough, tractor's still there. He brings his sons out, and we usually come along, and two big boys and a couple of us older guys, and we get that tractor up on the trailer. I got a bush hog with it too, but it is really rough bush hog. So I got that thing home, put it in the garage, and it sat there for a couple. Tractor, or I'm going to see if it'll run. And I thought, well, go get a new battery, install the new battery, and hit the key. Nothing happens. And get to inspect it around, and it's got typical problems for something that's been in storage for a long time. Corroded cables going into the battery clamps, a bad ground, cable, that's just about eaten into, things like that. So I go to the local auto parts store, buy the cables and stuff that I need, take all that stuff apart, clean it up real good, put it back together, and sure enough, it cranks. So in not too much time, I had that thing running. And it's been phenomenal. Even though I didn't really have any equipment for it, it's awesome just to have a tractor to, drag logs and brush and things like that around on your property. And at some point, I bought a carryall somebody had, a 3-point carryall, which is useful for carrying a skid. You can put a skid on it and stack firewood on it and things like that. And then I went a whole winter, and it never really snowed, which was kind of unusual. And I was really worried that it would snow and I would feel stupid because I didn't buy a plow blade for it so I could clean my own driveway. Well, this winter, I got to be pretty convinced. Late in the season, you can tend to trust the weather people. In the spring, they over forecast things because they're all anxious to forecast Armageddon, when the seasons change over. And I thought, well, I'm going to get a back blade. So I bought a brand new one from Tractor Supply, 60-inch back blade. The tractor's got a 48-inch wide stance on the rear wheels, 2-wheel drive. Get that thing home and get it mounted up. And sure enough, snow came and I got to plow the driveway. And I plowed my driveway about 5 times with it, just a couple inches at a time. And so I'm going to get to use it tonight, that's for sure, and tomorrow. And there's a couple older people in the neighborhood I'm helping out. So it's been a good investment. So that's the story of how I got my free Kubota tractor. Now, I didn't want to let that tractor go to waste. So I purchased all the filters it needed, all the fluids it needed. I replaced, I think, the thermostat, needed some light bulb sockets. Anyways, I spent about $500 on it and got it in really good shape, mechanically, good fluids and everything. Because once I knew it ran, it was definitely worth it. And so far, it started in the cold. Haven't had any failures on it of any kind. I do have a cable. I had to loosen up the cables, the decompression cable, and the I don't know, fuel distribution cable that lets you stop the diesel flow to shut the engine off. And then, so I replaced one of the cables, freed up the other one, and the one I freed up, it's getting sticky again, so I think I'll order that. But, I mean, other than that, it's been pretty good. So we're on I-7 now, and rolling westbound, and we still have good tracks on the road. In fact, it's probably gotten a little bit better, a little bit wider tracks. This is a little busier road than 675, not much, but a little bit busier. A lot of truck traffic on this road. This is kind of the northern half of the United States, the east-west corridor. This goes all the way across Pennsylvania, essentially, and all the way out west quite a ways. Might change to 79 in Pennsylvania and becomes the turnpike. You want to be real careful about speed differential when you're passing people, especially when the conditions are poor like this. And like passing a truck on the right-hand side, you know, he can't see you that good over there. And if you're not going real fast and he decides to get over into you, you don't have to do a lot of hard braking to slow down and let him in. So I hope the camera's not been too shaky. Just have it up on the steering wheel while I bloviate. It's been a fairly cold winter here in Ohio. You know, one of my activities I'm involved in, we're doing the planning for the Model-Rama. I'm in the RC model airplane hobby, and our club has a big RC swap meet once a year. And I think I have some videos on my channel about it. But the major trade show, which was about 2.5 hours north of us, they were having some difficulties maintaining the trade show. COVID came along. They canceled the trade show. I think before it wasn't too much longer, maybe 6 months, they decided that was it. They're not going to do the trade show anymore. And that was called the Weak Signals Model Airplane Show, or the Toledo Expo. Weak Signals Expo, something like that. We just all call it Toledo in the hobby because that's where it is. So we've expanded our show and moved it closer to the traditional Toledo date. I want to say Toledo's in about an 80,000 square foot, maybe 60,000 square foot place up in Toledo called the Seagate Center. And we don't have quite that much space. We have 36,000 square feet. We have been filling up 20,000 square feet, about 250 tables, swap meet tables at an auction. And we decided to put our mash down on the gas. So we spread the show out to 2 days. So now it's Friday, Saturday. And we rented the remaining 16,000 square foot building. So now we got 36,000 square feet. I don't really think our hobby can sustain, you know, in these economic times. I just don't see it sustaining an 80,000 square foot show like I presume Toledo was. But we need a trade show. And so we've added that aspect to our event. And it'll be the first year for it. But at least there's something to build from here, because we've got one of the biggest shows in the country, probably in the top 5 or 6 in the United States. So we've got a lever there to build off. So yeah, that's coming up in about 6 weeks. And so we're starting to lay out the booths and tables and all of that stuff. Hopefully it'll be a success and people will see potential in it. And next year we can expand the hours and make it 2 full days instead of 2 3/4 days. You know, I think it's a half day to 3/4 day. But you got to start somewhere. So that's something that's been going on in my life. I'm always nervous about it. I'm always happy when it's over and it turned out to be a success. Nobody left in an ambulance, and you know, everybody had a good time. I think the people in the area look forward to it quite a bit. Um, you know, people wonder, should you do something like that with COVID? Um, and we actually did a Survey Monkey. Oh, I'm going to say it was back in December or January. It might have been January. Could have been February. It was January or February of last year. So it's been almost a year ago. And we asked questions of people, you know, if COVID would affect whether or not they came. Yeah, I'm going to take that back. I've got the date wrong. I think we did this in June or July. But, you know, would the COVID situation affect whether or not they would come to the event? Would it, if the governor has a mask order in place, would that be a problem? Things of that nature. And you know, did they support expanding the event to 2 days, etc.? We got an overwhelmingly positive response. I think we had one person out of over 200 responses that said that they might not attend because of COVID. Now, since then, a lot of time has passed. The vaccines have become available. Right now in Ohio, I think you can get vaccinated down to 65. And every week they're moving that age down another 5 years. So we're going to be down to 35-year-olds being eligible for vaccine around the time of the show. And so in other words, the older people that are most vulnerable, most sensitive to this, will have had months to get the vaccine. So, you know, cases are reducing in Ohio dramatically. They've taken off the curfew that they had. You know, it's really getting a lot better. Of course, we're at the end of influenza season, past the end of that, and that's helping out too. By the way, we're going 26 miles an hour now. It's slowed down quite a bit. This exit is Route 4? Oh, I'm sorry. This is State Route 201 in Huber Heights. So this is the eastern I-70 exit to Huber Heights. But yeah, there's still some doubt as to whether people will come or not. You know, we'll see. And, you know, when we started planning the event, we knew that there was a chance we'd have to cancel it. The facility we're holding it in has had a gun show, a model train show, and those things seem to have went pretty well. So we don't think there's going to be any risk of being asked to cancel the event at this point. But we're going to be careful. There'll be hand sanitizer. We'll have masks to hand out to people. You know, we'll take reasonable precautions and go on living our lives. You know, we're all adults, and we should get to decide. And you know, I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of informing people and letting them decide what they want to do. And hopefully, as a country, we're moving in that direction as more and more at-risk people get vaccinated. And I encourage people to get vaccinated. I haven't been vaccinated yet. I'm not old enough yet to. The age group hasn't come down to me yet, and I think I'm going to take. I forget vaccine number 3 or number 4 when it comes out. One of the single shot vaccines. So I'm not. You know, I don't want to go whistling past the graveyard, but I'm not really too worried about it. You know, our treatments have developed. Treatments are a lot better now than they were in the beginning. We know a lot more about it. You know, vast majority of people my age have little or no symptoms. I don't have any any factors other than maybe being a little overweight. Um, so I'm not going to worry about it. I gave up licking doorknobs a long time ago. So try to live clean and not do anything stupid to give yourself something like that. But life must go on. I think kids want to go back to school. We got to be careful we don't end up with a lost generation of kids that don't do well in college and stuff like that because they're a year behind in their education. I think for families that homeschool, this hasn't really been a problem because they're used to that. But parents, many parents, I think that weren't already using homeschool curriculums might not have had as good of a time managing their kids' time, keeping their nose to work. I'm sure many have, but you hear reports of people feeling like their kids are falling behind, and I'm just going to defer to believing them. They probably know. So it's time to get back to it. Well, I think I've rambled on far too long, and I'm going to sign off here. It's been Dave on the Crafted Channel. Be safe, take care, and get your hands dirty. Make something.